Now, on Enough Said, with K-Fans Dan Barrero and Justin Guard. Enough Said.
I am embarrassed. I feel ashamed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start my job. I'm going to go back to work. I'm going to work as hard as I can for the people of Minnesota.
Welcome back to another edition of Enough Said. My name's Dan Barrero, Justin Guard with me, and Lori Fisher in the control room to start the program. Hi, Lori.
Hi, guys. 2 weeks ago, we led with this too. More sexual assault allegations against Senator Al Franken. On Monday, he vowed to regain everyone's trust and dismissed any talk of resigning from the Senate. And he's not the only politician in the harassment spotlight. Dan?
We got a lot of stuff to cover, and to show you how much at warp speed we're going here.
Yeah.
Garrison Keillor in print defends Franken against the mob about the idea of him having to resign. The next day, Keillor is dismissed for his own alleged transgression.
About 12 hours later.
Geraldo seems to defend your guy, Matt Lauer.
We'll get to him.
Basically suggesting, TV news is a very, very flirty business. And 2 days later, Bette Midler renews an accusation against him that he had drugged her.
Yeah.
And written about and groped her. So honestly, first of all, you almost need a scorecard to keep up with the names and also the speed with which this is going. If we start with Franken, I wasn't in the group that thought necessarily he had to go, but I'm beginning to wonder if he can survive.
Yes.
Because what's happening now, it's the old deal of when these things start coming out in drips and drabs, any individual one you may be able to sort of finesse away or say it's not great, but now we're up to, I don't know.
At least six.
Six?
Yeah, at least.
And now you're getting some leaders within the Democratic Party who are saying we can't go there. And in addition, you got Conyers. People are saying Conyers has to go. And I actually think what the Conyers transgressions are worse because they're workplace related. But Conyers people are pushing back and say, wait a minute, if Conyers has to go, then why doesn't Franken have to go? And at some point, the cumulative weight, I think, becomes he's going to have a hard time surviving.
The evidence at this point would suggest this is a trend. And what I really haven't heard from him in all of his apologies and talks is why he felt like it was all right to act like this consistently, whether it was on the skit.
He's a hugger.
That's what he did say.
What he keeps going back
So he's
to.
a hugger. Garrison Keillor, not a hugger. That was part of his defense. So it depends on if you like hugs or not. But at what point do you lose your effectiveness? Because he's saying, I want to go back and do my job. And most recently, it's I've got to go make sure this tax bill that's terrible doesn't see the light of day. But at what point do you lose your effectiveness as a leader or in any job if this is all anybody's ever going to think now, right? That's where I keep coming back to, and you kind of hinted at it as well. Mm-hmm. At some point, when they keep coming out in drips and drabs, and not even that anymore, no one's going to be able to take you seriously in a position of power that he's in.
Well, and he does keep going with the non sequiturs, which is now we've got accusations of, first we had butt cupping, now we've got breast cupping. Neither of those things are related to hugging.
No, okay, I have to interrupt you guys.
So that's sort of where he has not done a very good job at all. And his news conference was a joke. There really wasn't much to it.
And it was late,
like
too, after he did a couple of interviews.
Let's keep moving. You mentioned Garrison Keillor. The former host of A Prairie Home Companion says he was fired because he put his hand on a woman's bare back as he tried to console her. After she mentioned that she felt uncomfortable, he apologized and she forgave him after it happened. Dan?
Well, again,
that is his story, by the way. It's the only one we know.
That's what we're stuck with. And so all I can do, or any of us I think can do, is evaluate on the basis of what has come out to this point, which is very different than knowing that there's more to the story. But that's all we got. And if he is telling a complete version, if there's not something else involved, I think this is a massive overreaction. I can even understand maybe some attempt to warn or to say, you want to put something in the file, put something in the file, depending on the circumstances. But this strikes me as, and maybe it's because the company involved, they've already had to nail a couple of executives, and maybe now they're running scared. But to me, if he's told the whole story, I think this is in that category of one size fits all is hysteria, it's out of control, and it's not helpful in putting everybody in the same category. Now, maybe we're going to learn he's leaving something out. That's the part we don't know.
It's happened before.
Yes.
But, and maybe he knows that the company's not going to go any further with the complaint to protect the complaint, its identity or whatever. Where he does lose me a little bit, though, because I agree with you. When I read the story, I thought, well, we talk a lot about the buckets, and we're going to talk a lot about the buckets with Lauer as well. Doesn't fit in the same bucket as probably what Frank did. Certainly what Lauer did. Certainly not what Harvey Weinstein did, but
or Conyers,
or any number of whom by the time this show airs that we don't know about on this Friday afternoon as we sit here and tape it. But if that's the story, I agree with you totally. They're probably, but also at the end of the day, he's doing like a once a week thing now. He's kind of doing his show. It's probably easier for them to just say, let's just move on. It's been a good run. You've already retired 3 times and come back. So what are you really missing here?
Well, I don't, like I said,
Final point
I rarely defend. I'm not I've never gotten Prairie Home Companion. I know I'm not one of us.
Well, I am.
I've never gotten it. I think it's vastly overrated. But I got to say, there needs to be more to the story for me to just basically get rid of a guy who's had a pretty good run doing, what they wanted him to do, allegedly.
I feel like I could just keep interrupting you guys with like the next person's name,
unfortunately,
like Matt Lauer, which you mentioned. So let's get to him. Variety magazine did a 2-month investigation on him that claims he even had a button on his desk that would automatically lock his office door. He says he's truly sorry, regrets the pain he's caused people, Justin.
Well, all of these guys, they're sorry, but they're not really. Like even Keillor says, well, if I had $1 for every time somebody groped me, basically, which I'm not really believing, as you know.
Yeah,
we talked about that on the radio.
You think that strains credulity.
And Matt Lauer saying some of this stuff isn't true, but as Rosenbaum would say, but there's enough of it that is. First of all, my wife hasn't recovered from this. I don't know how your wife had. Today's Show fans are devastated by this whole thing.
Addicted as
my wife has not been this devastated about something TV related since McDreamy died on Grey's Anatomy. I mean, we're going through that grieving process. But the Lauer thing, as insane as it sounds, I mean, all of the things that came out in that Variety article, and New York Times has more now. It's a lesson, I think, to all of us that we think we know these people, right? And that's why I think people are having a tough time with this one, because they let them into their house, basically.
Every day.
Every morning.
5 days a week.
For 20 years, and you feel like you get to know these people, and it's another reminder that we have no idea what these people are up to. And I said to you before, it's amazing to me that people are saying they never heard rumors about this, or they can't believe that this was possible. It is a gossipy business, as Geraldo said, a flirty business. It's crazy to me that we're just finding out about this now.
Yeah, the details, if they're accurate from the Variety story, are despicable. They're well beyond flirtation.
For sure.
It's disgusting stuff that no woman should have had to put up with. And how much people knew, I'm sure there were rumors. But
Megyn Kelly said as much.
Did she?
Which is not garnering her any favor with the other
coworkers. Well, I mean, the other thing look, the elephant in the room is, as we've talked about, $500 million a year is, I think, what the Today Show franchise makes.
Yes.
We need to wrap it up.
And so that's significant money.
Enough said right there.
That's part
of
it. That's exactly
it.
That's why I think if you wonder, well, how does this
happen?
Hang on?
That's exactly right.
That's part of the story.
Okay, one more topic I want to get to in this first block. Breaking Friday, President Trump's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, pleads guilty to making false statements to the FBI. Dan?
Well, this is, the question is, what does this mean? Does this mean they got a deal and he's going to be nailing a number of other higher-ups, which is the whole concept idea. Usually that's what happens in this case. The White House is already saying, we don't even know this Flynn guy. He's a leftover from the Obama administration. We have nothing to do with this, other than he was hired to do one of the most important jobs by this president of the United States and flunked on. Not only did he not drain the swamp with this guy was the swamp, as we've said before. There's no collusion in this. The question is whether this will lead to something more serious. I know the mainstream, a lot of people are saying, this is it, game, set, match.
Calm down.
I got to see more.
Yes, 100%.
It could well mean that, but I got to see more before I'm convinced of that. But the Trump administration should be embarrassed by any indictment or any guilty plea in this case, because this is a guy they hired and put in an important position.
And a guy that the president tweeted about a year ago, or however it was, that he should be asking for, he should get immunity, right, is what he said, and for whatever. But I agree with you totally on, everybody's making the jump that, they got Flynn, so what do they have now? And then everybody wants to speculate. Is it Jared? Is it Don Jr.? Is it Eric? Who knows?
We'll find out in good
time. Is it
the
president? But I think everybody's making these huge leaps and assumptions, and we have no idea. It's possible that they're just getting this guilty plea so they can get any type of cooperation.
Again, what he pled guilty to was lying.
Yes.
And it was actually 4 lies that they put into one indictment, so to speak. But there is no indication, there is no discussion in this admission of colluding with anybody. It's you just lied about it. And then the obvious question, well, why are you lying?
Yes.
And what does that tell us?
And that's what they got to find out.
And that's what we got to find out.
And the timeline doesn't look good in terms of you know, when people got fired and when people got hired and when that stuff doesn't look good. But I still think there's a long way from A to Z. Don't you?
I'm always trying to get better. I had a coach tell me if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So I try to get better every day. So I think today I'm better than I was yesterday. I think I'm better yesterday than I was the day before, and that's my goal. Each day I come in, I want to get better. So if you get a little
Welcome back to Enough Said. Vikings quarterback Case Keenum named the NFC Player of the Month for November. The last Viking quarterback to win that award, Brett Favre. The Vikings 9-2. The Atlanta Falcons are next. Could they go all the way to the Super Bowl, Dan?
Vikings fans like you don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
It's the last thing you want to hear because of the concern that once we say that, we're set up for the big fall. I absolutely think your club is in the mix. I really do. I think the NFC's weird. Even the teams with the best records don't have pedigrees that are years long. And this is a really well-balanced team with, yes, a quarterback playing right now at a championship level, even if the head coach doesn't want to listen to it or admit it.
Yeah, and
it's beyond horseshoe. Can we admit at this point?
Well, you and I can.
Beyond horseshoe.
You and I can, but even on Wednesday
he's getting better and better.
He is, and the throws that we're seeing here, and even the one that led the segment, the dime to Rudolph, just a perfectly placed pass on Thanksgiving.
As he's getting
right?
creamed.
And Rudolph said, "I had no idea he got hit. I couldn't believe how well he threw it when I found out that he got tackled." You know me. Usually, I am the let's all calm down. I don't want to invest. I've been hurt
You're ready
too
to jump
times.
into the deep end this time, aren't you?
No, but what I'm saying to people is this one feels different than all the other ones because this one is so unexpected. Because earlier in the season, especially after Bradford got hurt and then Cook got hurt, and what we thought about the offensive line before the season, and this was when Aaron Rodgers was still a factor.
You were thinking we were going to go 6-10.
I was thinking, should we just tank and try to get the #1 overall pick? But because of how things have developed, and the defense has always been the strength of this group under Zimmer, that has not changed. Case playing so well, the running backs playing so well, receivers like Thielen emerging, Diggs staying healthy for the most part, Rudolph kind of coming back to what people thought he could be. I'm enjoying this. I don't really care how this season ends.
You're lying to yourself.
No, I'm not.
If you get to the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, well, we're going to have a bye, so we'll be in there immediately.
So if in your first game, the semifinals, you lose,
I'd be
disappointed.
Devastated. Well, I'd be disappointed because I like watching this team. I like how they go about it. I like how Keenum plays.
Right.
I just like Zimmer always says, I like how they go about their business.
This is the 98, 2009. This is the best defense of those three.
Yes.
I'm not going to say it's the best offense.
No.
But the offense has improved enough where it can also help you win games. And that's what is that's what's been fascinating about this, because you're doing it, obviously, with a guy who's been a career backup player.
Big 2 weeks, Atlanta, Carolina, back-to-back.
All we have to do is split.
You win both of those.
We win both.
Go
We're
Vikings.
the best team ever. Yeah.
Ain't no stopping us now.
Let's talk about 2 other sports. 2 teams, same question for both. What is going on right now with the Wolves and the Wild? Justin, you go first.
Well, do you want to start with the Wolves or the Wild? You pick.
Why don't you start hockey?
Let's start hockey.
You're the hockey maven. Well, I'm the ambassador.
You're the ambassador of hockey, bestowed upon you by the owner, Craig Leopold.
Right.
Maybe that's why they're in this predicament.
I may have had those credentials revoked on me, I think, based on a couple things I might have said.
I would say with the Wild, they just kind of are who they are, right? I know it's not interesting, but they're just kind of a middle-of-the-pack team at this point. And the reason why people
They weren't last year.
They weren't, but
regular season,
they've also
they were
lost some players off of that team. And some guys haven't even played yet this season, Parisi included. Right. I know he's allegedly on his way back, but they're just in kind of that place where they're the victims of their own small successes.
Semi-success.
From the last 5 years, right? Where you get tired. We saw it with the Twins. We've seen it with the Wolves before, where people get a little tired of just getting into the postseason and then not really ever advancing the ball, so to speak. And do you feel a huge vibe around the team right now? I really don't.
You're right. And the problem you have is that complicates matters is you got a GM where we've learned in the final year of his contract. And so how easy is it going to be for Chuck Fletcher to go to the owner and say, I know what I told you and I know what we thought we were going to do.
Yeah.
But the truth is we need to gut this team a little bit, get worse to get better. This is the owner who started preseason or training camp saying it's Stanley Cup or bust. So Fletcher, I think, is also stuck. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it for years. I don't think they're as bad as they're playing. They shouldn't be this bad. I think they're underachieving.
Right. They're doing okay at home.
They still don't have great finishers, and that's just not going to change. The young guys didn't emerge into superstars the way one or two of them were supposed to. Wolves, it's a different issue in that the record is far better than what we're used to.
Yes,
but as you know, the eye test tells you, man, we're still not breaking out of a lot of bad habits, especially defensively.
Yes.
And that's very concerning.
Well, there seems to be a disconnect big time defensively between the defensive genius coach, Tom Thibodeau, which is why you bring him in, and your star players still, most notably Karl Anthony Towns. There still seems to be a disconnect. Butler a week ago went on a little bit of a rant saying we haven't guarded anybody all year. I'm not. Why
then
is
he was
anybody
clearly
surprised?
angry with Karl Anthony Towns for how much he whines about officials.
Yes.
So they got a lot of layers of stuff to go. Maybe they need the infamous team meeting to clear the air.
Maybe they do, but that would not be abnormal to bringing in a bunch of different new players with Teague and Taj and Butler. They are a lot different than the Wonder Keens that are on their way up, right? They're more old school. They are a different breed, I would say. They're more Tibbs guys than Towns and Wiggins were.
We need to get to one more topic. A mess at University of Tennessee. The school was going to hire Greg Schiano as head football coach, but the deal fell through due to backlash. He worked at Penn State, and there are reports he may have known about Jerry Sandusky's child sex abuse back in the 90s. He denies those allegations. Dan?
Well, you can't. It's every day it becomes a bigger train wreck. You know, the latest development being now the AD, who has mishandled all of this very clearly
from the beginning.
He's been fired, but not before. Apparently, he was close to doing a deal with Mike Leach,
one of your favorite coaches.
And so now Leach is out as well, and now Tennessee's got to look for a coach and an athletic director. Let's start with the beginning on this, though. The Schiano thing was, to me, the worst part of this story in that there is one report, double hearsay report, that Schiano knew or might have seen something involving Sandusky.
Yes.
Maybe true.
Mike McQuarrie said he heard it from another person who said he heard it from another person.
No confirmation from any other investigator who's even thought it was worth pursuing.
Correct.
For a guy to lose his opportunity there or for an AD to cave to that pressure or a school to is pathetic. It's a sign of the times, but it's pathetic. And you know and I know the real reason for a lot of Tennessee fans fighting back wasn't any big moralistic stand.
No.
They just didn't think he had a good enough record and they wanted somebody else, even though who are they going to get?
Well, now the coaches they've gone after, after this.
Including Brom from Purdue.
You could argue Brom from Purdue, Gundy from Oklahoma State, Leach from Washington State. You and
I wanted here
multiple times.
Several times.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
You could make the argument they should have been targeting those coaches before they even got to Schiano, who, for people that don't follow college football very closely, he's pretty well regarded, especially defensively, and what he did at Rutgers. Yes. So it wouldn't have been a bad
his numbers, now Rutgers is a tough place to win.
100%. Look what's happened since he's been gone.
It was a disaster in the pros.
But I think Tennessee has they have one option now, and that's just to drop football. First of all, you got to find an AD. They're like Arkansas. They're looking for an AD and a football coach, hiring two different search firms, by the way, to do that. I don't know where you go from here or pick up the pieces, because not only have you've caved to public pressure, which was ridiculous, you've also not gotten support from the president.
Correct.
Once you presented a contract for Purdue guy, Brom,
and the
president said, we're out on that.
Yeah.
To not have that thing ready to go, to not have any organization to give the AD power to go do what he wants was ridiculous.
Isn't part of this, too, though, a confirmation that at a lot of schools, we've talked about it here, people are delusional about how attractive
100%.
The job is.
They wanted Chip Kelly. They wanted John Gruden.
They always think, it's like, no, there's like 3 or 4 coaches who are going to, who are the best, who they're not going to be interested. John Gruden,
why would he go there?
Nobody cares. He's not going to go to the University of Tennessee.
Because his wife went to school there, apparently.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Enough Said. It's time for the lightning round. Let's talk about Gopher men's basketball. The team is 7-1. Dan.
Typical positivity from Lauer.
Yeah, Lauer
leaving out the fact that the one
just happened.
Yeah. Very good opponent.
Yeah.
Good test. Kind of flunked it defensively, I thought, and also flunked it a little bit regarding our freshman
Isaiah Washington
guard,
didn't play well,
who had way too much authority over what was going on in that game. That was my biggest problem.
And we saw depth will be an issue.
Yes.
McBrayer is out.
Anytime
we already
there's an injury,
Eric
right.
Curry. I mean, they're 1 through 5. I think they're as good as anybody. It gets a little dicey.
Can we get any JUCOs in
the middle of the season?
Eligible now?
Sometimes they do that. I don't know.
Something
to think about.
Richard Pitino might want to consider.
And I don't know what's wrong with positivity.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Eden Prairie High School. Our guy Rablins He's an
Yeah,
alum there.
we're
Their
happy for
football
him.
team wins the state title.
He never mentions that.
What do you say about Coach Mike Grant and his complaining about the officiating for the game?
Well, let's start. What do you say about Coach Mike Grant? Elite coach, legendary coach, one of the best coaches in any sport that this high school league has ever
and Eden
seen.
Prairie remembered this part of our discussion
Exactly
before you
right.
dismissed the commentary.
It's not our fault. He makes us talk about other things besides how good the football team is.
Correct.
And you and I both saw the Prep Bowl. It was ridiculous.
Halftime was
whining
embarrassing
about the officials.
Well,
they were ahead.
Let's you and I organize a candlelight vigil for the downtrodden at Eden Prairie. What the coach has to put up with.
It's amazing.
Officials. Facilities. I think they've earned that.
You know, enrollment has dipped to like less than 4,500 at that school. Times have changed.
That starts the slippery
at Eden
slope.
Prairie.
Yeah.
Next up, a glitch. American Airlines, they accidentally, with a scheduling glitch in their computer, gave too many pilots the holiday season off, and now they're scrambling. They are making up for most of the flights, but still, this is a really big deal. Dan?
Well, this used to be my airlines when I, flying my Dallas days. There's been some serious slippage at American Airlines. And I don't know how it gets any worse than this. So apparently the union had them over a barrel. I assume they got all kinds of concessions.
Well, they got time and a half, I know, at least.
You got to have, I think you still have to have pilots.
You need multiple pilots.
And you want qualified pilots.
Usually, yeah. But if you're really desperate to get home for the holidays.
Well, and a discount rate.
Private
Speaking of the
schools,
holidays,
I'd love
the new Star Wars movie. Are you guys Star Wars guys?
Big
Not
time.
in the least.
Big time. He's not ever seen any of the Star Wars films.
Oh, that's right.
Not one.
Yeah, never. This is right up Dan's alley.
He's one of those.
He wanted you to lead
he's
with
a
this.
snob. He's above it all.
A little bit, yeah. A
Okay,
little
well,
bit.
Dan, then. The Last Jedi, Episode 8, is coming out December 15th. It is 151 minutes and 38 seconds, more than 2.5 hours long.
Oh, I can answer that. It is too long.
Well, again, it depends. Is it well done? I can handle that length if it's well done. If they put a bunch of extraneous stuff in there
for no reason,
and it's too fat, then it's going to be a problem. Yeah.
Would
My
you walk
attention
out?
span, I could handle.
You could handle it. Yeah.
I can handle it. Giovanni loves the Star Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
Your kids aren't into that yet?
Not
you
yet.
poisoned them.
I'll load
No,
it in
I let them have an
or
open
something.
mind. I let them have an open mind.
I have them on an old school DVD if you want to borrow them. We got two more things.
Blu-ray?
Royal
That's what
engagement. Prince Harry's getting married to American actress Meghan Markle this spring. Justin.
Fantastic news. I mean,
This
I
is
think
big
we're all
for you.
happy for him.
Yeah.
It is. I do get into the royal
Why?
stuff. I don't know. Because what I'm
They'll be
fascinated
divorced in about 6 months.
No, that's not
you
true.
think this is
it's
real?
true love.
This is true love.
Well, you know why I know that? Because Kate
Remember
is
what
happy
you
for
said
him.
much
What did I
earlier in
say?
the show about how you can't.
You don't know anybody?
You think you know these people?
Well,
We don't know them.
How well do you know the royals? Like the higher. Like what does Prince Harry do all day? Like what do they do? I know they do a lot for
He
charity.
does princely things.
But how do they make money?
He does royal
Do people
things.
just pay them to
Okay,
walk
enough said.
around?
Yeah,
I don't understand. It is going to be cool.
They will discuss it next
Meghan
week.
Markle was once on Deal or No Deal as one of the
She
suitcase
was.
models.
Is that true?
Yeah,
Fashion
so
designer
not bad.
too.
Remarkable.
Fashion
Real
designer.
quick, we found out J-Lo's coming for the Super Bowl. She's going to perform the night before at the
Right,
Armory,
nice.
Nomadic Club. A Jimmy Jam, Terry
Glory
Lewis
be there.
announced on Friday. Lots of free concerts. The Jets. What are you guys excited for? Dan.
Of the usual suspects, I'd say the Time, but I'm still holding out for a surprise free Janet Jackson concert.
I wouldn't rule that out at all.
With Jimmy Jam and Lewis in charge of the,
I want
behind
Janet
the
Jackson
scenes
with
stuff,
Timberlake at halftime,
They got
by the
her
way.
ear.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
We do a
can do that,
reprise
too.
of the wardrobe malfunction without the wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah, there would have to
You
be
got
something.
Dave Matthews Band coming, Florida Georgia line coming, J-Lo all on Saturday night.
How are we gonna? And you're
I'm
going
not
to have
sure.
invitations to all of them.
I know. I
How
don't
are
know
you
what
gonna
I don't
pick?
know what I'm going to do.
You're just going to stay home, aren't you?
I'd like to.
Yeah,
If you give me a choice, I'd rather
I just
stay
want
home.
the good feedback, the big Super Bowl feedback thing.
Taste the NFL.